work, 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 work. To me, I be work, 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 work. See me do me dirt, 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 dirt. So me by that work, 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 work. When you walk a line, 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 line. In the girls, them hurt, 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 hurt. Try me, I deserve it. Nothing to have you lurking.
Yeah.
You make a like, now you not like it. You know I dealt with you the nicest. Nobody touched me in the righteous. Nobody text me in a crisis. I believe that all of your dreams are duration. You took my heart, all my keys, and my patience. You took my heart, I must leave a decoration. You mistaken my love, I brought for you for foundation.
Hey YouTube, it's your girl Miss Angie coming to bring you guys another video. And as you see from the title, this video is based on letting go of control. And in this video, I definitely wanted to kind of just keep it like a conversation, like we're talking, you know, communicating over this topic, because this is definitely a topic that I struggle in on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure a lot of us struggle in this. So I definitely wanted to keep this video as a video just being real and honest in this moment and just communicating with you guys, because I know that there are other people who struggle in having control in certain areas. I think we all struggle in having some form of control somewhere. I also want to, before I really dig into the topic, I want to also just send prayers and peace to my family. We currently had a death in our family, and it also opened my mind when we talk about control over things that we can't control. In life, there are things that we cannot control, and death is definitely one of them. And it's hard, you know, it's hard when you lose a loved one. So I definitely want to, you know, send that out to my family. And during this time of losing, you know, a loved one, it's definitely a, you know, something that we all have to transition to. But in that period of when you lose somebody, that is the hardest. That is the hardest. I definitely feel like it was one point in time in our family where it just seemed like we were having back-to-back deaths within years, you know, within 1 or 2 years of each other. And I feel like when it comes to death, it definitely keeps me numb, because it's like you have so many different emotions, especially depending on how close you were to a loved one who has passed away, or just seeing the effects of, you know, maybe somebody passed away and you weren't as close, but seeing the effects of how it trickles down on others. And it definitely was hard when you lose family members that you're used to seeing every day. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, you know, people that you see maybe not every day, but you see at family events and functions. It's hard, you know, when you know that the next Christmas or the next Thanksgiving, you're not going to be with that loved one. So getting into the topic of control, it's so many things that I can sit up here and say about control, and it's like, girl, you thought you had control in that situation and you don't. And you thought you may have had control over this and you don't. And for me, it's hard. It's hard to let go of control, whether it's with my kids, whether it's with myself, whether it's within relationship. You're not going to always have control. And also in this process of me doing this video, and too, I've also took a lot of notes, and I'm the type of person that want to keep it, you know, real from my personal experiences. So I have notes, and I'm going to probably, you know, periodically look through my notes, but it's only because I want to make sure that I am keeping it 100 with you guys and making sure that I know what I'm talking about. Because a lot of people can get on here and say stuff, but it's all about, like I said, for my channel, I want to keep it real. I want to be honest, and I don't want to just be saying anything just to be saying it. And like I also say, a quick disclaimer, I'm not trying to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm just going off of my personal experiences, wanting to help you, you know, wanting to help somebody who might be struggling with it. So let's get into it. I know that for me, I used to spend so much energy on things I could not understand. I used to want to always be in the know. I want to know why this happened. I want to know why this didn't work out. Why does it seem like it was always me? And what I had to understand was that it got to the place where, you know, certain situations, you get yourself worked up. You get yourself to a place where you are flustered. You may cry about it. You may not even, like for me, I may not even eat if I get flustered or you know, something that is bothering me. I may not even eat. Like it may take my whole appetite away. Like I said, you may cry, you may be flustered, wasting time on past arguments, wasting time on people who wronged you. These are things that you cannot control. Now, yes, in an argument, you can control that. You can be the other person that says, I choose not to argue and walk away. Me, on the other hand, I put myself in this situation where I get into an argument, and I figure, you know, when you get into an argument, you want to kind of have that place where at the end of an argument, you want to have an understanding. Sometimes at the end of an argument, you're not always going to have a perfect understanding. So these two people leave off in a bad place, you know what I'm saying, after an argument. But me, I probably was digging a hole deeper because, of course, I don't have control in an argument. It takes two people to argue, and I just wanted to have some form of understanding, so I would keep talking about it. And I would be like, I don't understand. You know, I figured we don't want to sit over here and end this argument in a place where we don't have a understanding. And I don't have control over that. I have control of saying I'm gonna leave it alone, but a lot of times I wouldn't leave it alone. And so, same thing with people who wronged you. In life is not perfect. Life is going to happen. Like I said, my whole line now in life is life be lifing. Because there's so much that happened between the kids, work, life, relationships. Nothing is going to be perfect, and it just is not. You know, people who wronged you want to spend time, and I'm not even gonna lie, like I have been a person that will hold a grudge forever. Like, nope, you remember you did that back in 2001, like. And like I said, I'm being human, I'm being open, I'm being real about it. Like, it's not easy. But I told myself a lot of that stuff you got to let go. You have to let it go. You have no control over how that person may feel or how, you know, the person that wronged you, what they thinking. Because a lot of times people wrong you and they keep it moving. They not thinking twice about you. But I'm thinking about it like I need to move on with my life. You know what I'm saying? And keep it pushing. So those are definitely things that I struggle with as far as having control over. I want to also go over this quote that I saw on control. And so the quote kind of goes like this. You must choose to take hold of what you can control and let go of what you cannot. You cannot control your circumstances, but you can control your character. So when I look at that, I had to break it off into an example. So I put it like this. When you get laid off from a job, that's unexpected. And I can personally attest to this experience because I have been laid off from a job before. So when you get laid off from a job, and like I said, we're going to keep it real. We're going to talk to each other. Like, when you get laid off, if you ever been laid off from a job, it's 9 times out of 10 something you didn't think was going to happen. So they come to you, they tell you, we're going to lay you off, we're letting you go. And everything in your head at this point is like, I have a family, I have rent, I have a car note. You are in this mental space of what am I supposed to do next? You're telling me as an employer that I technically have a few weeks before I'm laid off. You can get unemployment, you can do this, you can do that. But regardless of the fact, it's not going to be anywhere close to the money that you were making. This is an example of what you cannot control. You cannot control you getting laid off because an employer can tell you whenever, right in that moment, you're getting laid off, and in the next 2 weeks, this will not be your job. For me, when they told me that, I was already, you know, in the mindset of trying to think of other business opportunities, because like I said, I've always been a person that wants to help people and want to have the betterment of other people. So I'm thinking, apply for other jobs, try to get, work with trying to get business ventures off the ground and stuff that was, kind of in the future for me at the moment. But in that, the way I was feeling was like, I have no control in this situation. I have no control that in 2 weeks or in a month, I'm not going to be walking through this door, which means that there may not be a regular check for me. Because we all know about unemployment. If you've been on unemployment is not going to give you what your regular job gives you. So in that moment, it's like, I have no control. And for a person that likes to be in control, that was hard. Because what can you do? You laid off. Indefinite at this point. So it's like, we could call you to get your job back when we reopen. If we don't, then. So what I do, I had applied for jobs. I had looked into different business ventures, things that were going to happen, because I knew I had a daughter and I knew I had bills, and I could not sit around trying to figure out what's going to happen next. So now we look at, how is your character in this situation? When I found out I was going to get laid off, my character in this situation was not of positive. I was very upset. I was angry. I was very, I was flustered when I first found out. And a lot of people was, because we are like, this is how we make our money, But your character plays a major part of how this outcome looks. You can either respond and be in positive and say, you know what, this is an unfortunate situation, but this is also life. What I have to do is and like I said, I applied for different jobs, looked at different options, and, had to keep it moving. But also my character in that moment, I was mad. I was ready to cuss, and I probably did cuss. Let me keep it 100 for y'all. Like, I was upset, probably didn't have the best attitude, towards management, upper management. I'm going to be real with y'all, because at the end of the day, I got a daughter at home, and I have to take care of my daughter, and I have to take care of bills that I have. So yeah, I felt some type of way. And I'm going to be honest. This is why I say we have to be honest. So I want y'all in this moment, think about a situation where y'all felt like you didn't have no control, and think about how your character was in that situation, and think about how you could have changed how you felt. Like, in that moment, I was mad. I was upset. But a lot of times when you have no control, you have to look at it and say, what can I pull from this positive? Right now, the positive is I still have a chance to apply for other jobs, look for different openings, and continue to move on. I knew that if I continue to pray also and ask God, hey, God, guide me in what you need to do. And at the moment, I'm not going to lie, I didn't pray on it. I didn't pray about certain moves that I was making. I didn't. So that probably also occurred in some of the downfall of where I was at financially when the whole layoff happened. But looking back on it, you can pray over your situation, because I knew that situations that I have been in before, I knew God had worked them out for me. So it was no point for me to really get that upset. But in the moment, I was mad. I was heated. So, another part of the quote, you cannot control the action of others, but you can control the choices you make. Bad or good. You cannot control what people think about you. You cannot control what people do to you. You cannot control, you can't control other people. You can only control what you can control. Even within yourself. There's, like I said, being laid off, you can't control that. When they talk, in the quote, saying that control the choices that you make. So, for me, I look at it like, let's just use, for example, me getting laid off. If you know that you're getting unemployment, you know, for the next few months, and your checks are not going to be the same. I cannot spend money making what I'm making in unemployment. Let's just be real. Which means that I have to have control over my spending. I have to have control and say, you know what? Groceries this week, car note this week, rent maybe next week. These are the things that I have to make focus on. I have a daughter, I have an apartment, you know, these are things I have to take care of. So do that mean that I can go to the mall on this unemployment check? No. I could go to the mall with my regular 40-hour check, yes. But do that mean that I can go to the mall with my unemployment check? For me, no. Some people can do that. Some people can navigate their bills depending on what they are and still navigate but for me, I'm just saying this is how I look at it. I can't control the fact that I got laid off, but guess what? I can control how I spend my money. So now guess what? I'm on budget. I'm penny pinching. I'm at this point that I done learned that. And even when I was younger, my dad used to always have a jar of change. And I've heard other people who have done this. And this might be old school, but let me tell you, you roll up that change and take it to the bank, honey. Like, flat out. You take that change to the bank. Any pennies, quarters, dimes, nickels, whatever. Take that change and do what you got to do. I used to take back bottles and was embarrassed doing it, but them bottles got me maybe gas money for the week, something to eat. Like, I had to do what I had to do. You know, it is what it is. But when you don't have that same amount of money coming in, then you have to budget differently. You know, and I'm just saying, for me, that was my whole situation. Like, getting laid off, and if you're going to get unemployment, then yeah, you know what I'm saying? This is what it has to be. And I'm using this all as an example because at the time that I had got, you know, laid off, I was able to get more assistance because right around that same time, the pandemic had hit. So God definitely was looking out for me. But before I even knew about the pandemic relief, you know, I'm looking at it in a panic. And there goes a blessing in itself. Like, I know a lot of people probably couldn't get unemployment, but for me, the blessing in itself was I was able to provide, you know, within getting laid off and within the pandemic happening, which I'm not happy at all that the pandemic happened, but financially I was covered, you know, for me and my daughter to have, you know, for my bills to be covered and stuff like that. So that's also a testimony in itself. But, that's basically my example right there on that. I think a lot of times we judge and look at how people take care of things and how people do things when we need to be focused on us. And that also takes out a lot of control. I think we sometimes dip into other people's situations and knowing that we don't even have control of other people. We don't have control of what they do. We don't have control of how they handle things. And we need to be more focused on ourselves than trying to be focused on what other people do. You know what I'm saying? It's okay if somebody is going to ask for advice in a situation, and that's cool. Hey, I'm here to give you my advice, but if you take it, you take it. If you don't, you don't. But I think a lot of times we have to also take that judgment off of stuff because we can't control what people do. And even if we do get our advice and then we turn around and be like, well, I told them they should have did that. But it's up to them ultimately to do what they feel is best at the end of the day. I also know at the time during COVID, I'm not going to lie to y'all. And that's exactly why I'm also going to start the whole thing about talking about mental health in my mental health series that I want to start off on my channel. Because baby, let me tell you, I was like wearing masks during COVID, like 2 masks at that. I was scared, like, because nobody knew what was happening. People were dropping like flies, like it was crazy. But COVID was another situation that we did not have any control over. So I was wearing masks heavy. You know, I was making sure because by that time I ended up getting another job. And of course, the requirement was to make sure you have your mask, make sure that you get your temperature checked, make sure that you're not close to people, stay 6 feet away. Like, that's hard when you're working at a place with people, you know what I'm saying, to try to keep yourself distanced. But I had my wipes, my disinfectant wipes, my hand sanitizer, my mask. I was not playing. I was not playing. I was legit scared. I would go to the grocery store and I was doing it I literally, let me tell you, I thought that the mask was going to save me. And y'all might think that's crazy, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. I legit thought the mask was gonna save me. I said, anybody cough, breathe, sneeze, whatever, I had on my mask and I thought I was protected. Protected, okay? I mean, it was almost like I just definitely took God out of the equation and said, my mask is gonna help me, my sanitizer, all of that. And guess what? Within that year, your girl caught COVID. It didn't matter how many masks I had on. And I say all of that to say, I had no control. I had no control. Even to this day, and I also want to talk about that in my channel, I'm learning on how to release wearing my mask. Now, when I go to Kroger or if I go a little here and there, then I don't wear my mask. At work, I've been wearing my mask faithfully because it's a mass group of people and I still am holding on. But I know God is like, you have to let that mask go because there is nothing in that mask that says that you cannot catch anything. Yes, the mask, believe me, and especially for elderly and stuff like that, the mask does help, for you not to breathe in, somebody coughing and sneezing. But my thing is that what I'm saying is that I put my faith in the mask. People who know me telling this story right now can attest. I had my faith in the mask. I didn't have faith in God. I had faith in my mask. So I say all of that to say your girl still caught COVID wearing 2 masks at times, trying to stay back. I mean, I was staying far back from people like, oh, okay, you coughing? Like, oh, like seriously. And like I said, that's why I'm being real in this moment, because mentally, once COVID hit, your girl was messed up. Your girl was messed up. I didn't want to take snacks from nobody. I didn't want nobody to touch me. Don't touch my stuff. Don't breathe in my area. It was bad. But my faith was in the mask and not in God. Tell me, how does that make sense? The mask is supposed to help. That is true. The mask is supposed to help. But your girl was over here relying on the mask like it was God. And it was not God. The mask is not God. And that's why I say control the things you can control and don't worry, control those things, and the things that you cannot control, you can't control. You have to let it go. I caught COVID and they was looking at me like, girl, you the one who be wiping down your equipment and everything. You still caught COVID? Yes, I did. So I wanted to also use that as an example. And the last part of this quote, you cannot control the outcome, which is the way things turn out, but you can control the process, and the process is the steps to help you get to where you need to get to. It is unhealthy, and this is what I put in my notes, it is unhealthy to be in a self-control environment knowing that God is in control of all. So let me just put it like this. The outcome is what happens, right? Like we talked about, I got laid off. That was the outcome. I was laid off. There was no chances of me getting my job. But the things that I did, which is the process, I took the steps to apply for other jobs. I took the steps to make sure that, hey, what outlets can I look into so that I can make sure that me and my daughter were, together. Like I said, once I did get laid off, COVID happened and I was able to benefit from the relief money, which was able to keep me afloat, as far as taking care of what I need to take care of. But even in this moment, y'all, I still feel like I got control somewhere. When it comes to my kids and them getting sick, it's hard to see that. I have no control though. I have no control over that. When my daughter caught the flu, I had to take the whole week off. Almost lost my job because I had to take the whole week off. I could not control that. All I could do in that moment was pray, God, please help me. Because at that moment, I had to take off because my daughter caught the flu. Then I turned around and caught the flu. So now I'm out. I can't even return to work. You know what I'm saying? And even though I didn't have COVID, I was trying to follow the right procedures. So, you know, me trying to do it the right way. Hey, I had a doctor's note. They didn't want to accept the doctor's note. You know, it just was so much. I couldn't control it, though. And like I said, I want to dig deeper into a lot of that because a lot of mental health things that have, in the mental health series is when I want to dig into a lot of things that I deal with on that level mentally, you know, because there were so much, especially when COVID happened, it was so much for me that was mentally straining and it was hard for me. And even me having counseling, which helped me a lot, it was just hard. It was overall hard for me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, you know. So, like I said, in the mental health series that I want to start off soon, I definitely will talk a lot more about that. But one thing that I want to leave off in this video, leave off on this note in this video, in the same thing as I talked about, we have no control within life and death. And that's just the honest to God truth. We don't have control in what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't even have control in the fact if we're going to make it tomorrow. And when I went to church, it was, I want to say a few Sundays back, the preacher had made it so clear when he stated, we talk so much about tomorrow. Like, we may not live to see tomorrow. We may not live to see tomorrow. That's very true. But like he said, when he ended the sermon was, we don't have control if we're going to make it the rest of the day. How do we know that when we go make a run to the store, if we're even going to come back home? How do we know if we go to sleep tonight, if we're going to wake up tomorrow? You know, just saying that in general, or take a nap. Let me use that. We could take a nap and think we're going to wake up, you know, later on in the afternoon. Like, we don't know. And that hit me so hard because I know for me, death has always been something that I had a fear of. And I have no control over death. I have no control. And the times that we deal with these type of things, yes, we just have to pray and stay strong and have God go through, you know, what healing steps when we lose a loved one or somebody close to us. We have to go through that process. It's a part of life. But we have no control. We have no control in tomorrow. We have no control in the rest of our day. So I say all of this at the end of this is that even though we don't have control, we have control over the things that we want. You know, as far as the things that we want from ourselves, when we say, hey, I want to live a better life, then we can try to do the things to help us have a better life. If we say, I want a better life for my kids, we start on that process of doing what we can to better off to have better for our kids. There's things that I want for my kids that I know that I don't have right now, but I'm doing the steps to make sure that they are, you know, good. Like, I start accounts for my kids, you know, things that can better them, the things that I can do now, the things that I can't offer them right now, I have no control over. And I had to start to let that stuff go because it was eating at me. It was tearing at me. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Didn't want to make this a long video, but I knew it was something important because I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Control is something that I struggle with even to this day. And I'm asking for prayer over it. And I'm asking that I can be better in this. And I ask because I don't want my control issues to take over my life. I don't. I really don't. So I just want to thank you guys for watching this video, and please like, comment, and subscribe to your girl's channel. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.